The rain fell in torrents, turning the empty stretch of road outside the town of Maple Ridge into a slick, shimmering ribbon. The gas station's flickering lights were the only beacon in the gray gloom. Sergeant Emily Carter stood beneath the tin roof of the station's tiny awning, soaked despite her efforts. Her military duffel bag sagged against the ground, and her car sat motionless by the pump, engine dead, phone battery long gone. She had made it all the way from the base to here, just 1 hour from home, when fate decided to test her resolve one more time. The wind howled like a wounded animal. Cold. Relentless. She watched the few cars that passed by, none slowing down. Just shadows behind windows. Just silhouettes pretending not to see. Her fingers were numb, and her heart felt heavier than the duffel. And then, headlights cut through the fog. A rusted old Ford pickup truck pulled in, engine coughing a bit before it came to a halt. A man in his late 50s stepped out. Tall, weathered, wearing a flannel shirt and a cap soaked at the rim. He didn't look rich. He didn't look hesitant either. "You need help, soldier?" he asked, his voice deep, calm, and unexpectedly kind. Emily hesitated. The world hadn't given her many reasons to trust strangers lately. "My car's dead." "Phone too," she said quietly, shivering. The man gave a small nod. "Pop the hood. Let me take a look." He didn't introduce himself. Didn't ask her name. He just moved with quiet assurance, pulling tools from his truck. As he worked under the hood, she noticed how his hands trembled slightly, but not from cold. From memory, maybe. "You're not from around here, are you?" she asked. He gave a soft chuckle. "Born 2 towns over. But I don't get out much these days. Only came out because, well, something told me to take the long road home tonight." The rain softened. The silence between them didn't feel heavy anymore. "Name's Thomas, by the way," he added as he tightened a bolt. "Emily," she replied. Inside Thomas's truck, the heater hummed. Emily cupped her hands around the steaming thermos he'd offered. The rain pelted the windshield like it had a score to settle with the earth. They sat there, 2 strangers stitched together by a broken engine and bad weather. "I've been home for 6 hours," Emily said softly, "and it already feels harder than the last 6 months overseas." Thomas didn't say anything at first. He just nodded, understanding in his eyes. "I know that feeling," he finally murmured. Emily glanced over. "You served?" "No," he said. "But my son did." The silence stretched. "Army. Medic. He never made it home." Emily's throat tightened. "I'm so sorry." He shrugged gently, as though the weight of the years still rested on his shoulders. "He used to say the world's broken, but worth fixing. Said helping just one person could be enough." She looked at him, seeing something more than just a stranger with a kind face. She saw grief. She saw hope that hadn't died. She saw someone who still believed. "You helped me," she whispered. "That's not nothing." Thomas smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Just promise me you'll stay strong. That's all I ever wanted for my boy." A week had passed. Emily sat alone in her small apartment, staring at a half-written letter to her commanding officer. Her hand hovered over the page. "I respectfully submit my resignation." She couldn't finish it. The words felt wrong. But so did staying in a world that didn't seem to need her anymore. Her apartment was quiet, almost too quiet. No buzz of radio chatter, no boots marching in rhythm. Just the distant hum of traffic and the ticking of a cheap wall clock. Then came the knock. She frowned. It was late. She wasn't expecting anyone. When she opened the door, a young delivery man stood in the hallway holding a long brown package wrapped in heavy paper. "Delivery for Emily Carter," he said. "There's no sender?" she asked, puzzled. "No ma'am. Just this note on top. The note was brief. Written in neat handwriting. This belonged to my son. He wanted to help someone. I think you're the one. Thomas. She closed the door, heart pounding, and carefully unwrapped the package. Inside was a military journal, weathered and stained. A silver medal sat atop the first page. Her hands shook as she opened the book. The journal was filled with handwritten entries, some funny, some heartbreaking, some deeply profound. His name was Michael Blake. Thomas's son. His thoughts were raw, poetic in their simplicity. Today I stitched a man back together with my bare hands. I felt like I was doing something good. I want to come back and open a place for vets. A home. A sanctuary. They need it. God, they need it. If I don't make it home, I hope someone picks up where I left off. Emily sobbed. She felt like she knew him. He sounded like every soldier she'd ever fought beside. Every friend who came home broken. Every comrade who didn't. And suddenly, her purpose snapped into place like puzzle pieces she didn't know were missing. 6 months later, the small town of Maple Ridge buzzed with life. A newly renovated community center sat in the heart of town. A crowd had gathered for the ribbon-cutting ceremony. On the front of the building, a plaque read, "The Blake Foundation for Veterans, a place to heal, a place to begin again." Emily stood beside Thomas, both of them blinking away tears. "This was your son's dream," she said. Thomas placed a hand on her shoulder. "And now it's yours too." When she took the stage, she looked out over the crowd and spotted veterans, families, young soldiers, and children. "I was lost," she began. "Stranded in the rain, unsure of where to go next. And one man, just one, stopped. Not to save me, but to remind me who I was." She held up the medal. "This belonged to Michael Blake. And this building, it's his legacy. His words, his dream, his heart live in these walls. And I will spend my life making sure they never fade." The crowd erupted in applause. A little boy in the front row saluted her. She smiled and saluted back. As she stepped down, Thomas pulled her into a brief, tight hug. "You didn't just finish his mission, Emily," he whispered. "You gave his life new meaning." That night, as the sun dipped behind the trees and the wind carried laughter from the center down the street, Emily sat at her window. There was a peace inside her now. She thought about all the people who'd come through the center. People who'd find hope like she did. All because one man stopped in the rain, and chose kindness. Then, as if from fate itself, there came another knock at the door. She smiled, her heart full. Because now, she was ready to answer. Sometimes, the knock you weren't expecting, is the one that opens the door to your purpose.